Sometimes two fighters are just destined to fight. No matter what they do, they can't avoid each other. A rivalry.
What you care about is getting a call from
No, I'm afraid of you, man. Are you crazy?
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the fuck up.
Israel Adesanya is on the greatest middleweight run since Anderson Silva. He's cleaned out the entire division. But Alex Pereira, a man to beat Adesanya twice in kickboxing, has arrived at his first title shot.
Boxer is he, Joe, the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world today?
The only man in the middleweight division to beat the current king.
This guy's already beat me twice in kickboxing. Trust me, he knows I put him on skates last time. And this time when I put you on skates, I'm gonna leave you frozen like Elsa.
He says he's gonna do it again, but Adesanya ain't having it. The two striking wizards are set to meet at UFC 281, and I can't wait. Now let's take a deeper dive into this striking trilogy. Israel Adesanya fought Alex Pereira back in 2017. Now for those who don't know, Pereira is a world champion kickboxer. One of the few men on earth that can actually compete with Adesanya in a striking bout.
There's a guy that's in MMA now. That's the last guy to knock him out. His name's Alex Pereira, and he's truly one of the most terrifying human beings.
Just as Adesanya was seeming to get the better of Pereira, Pereira landed that signature left hook and knocked Adesanya out cold. Something we have never seen before. Keep in mind, this is 2017, and a lot has changed since then. A lot. What's changed since then exactly? Since joining the UFC in 2018, Adesanya ripped through the middleweight division, beating some of the top contenders twice.
Less than 2 years into his UFC career, Israel Adesanya is what he knew and thought he was, the best middleweight on planet Earth.
Any opponent they threw his way, Adesanya dismantled. He quickly became one of the UFC's biggest stars, and now a global superstar.
You can't tell me nothing.
12-0 in the middleweight division, untouched. But now the only man who's beaten him twice stands in his way again.
Don't ever fix your lips like collagen to say something where you gon' end up apologizing. Let me know if it's a problem then. Alright, man, holla then.
When it's all said and done, they'll be like, man, that guy Izzy, that guy Styles, he's a GOAT.
Ele estaria melhor, né? Porque eu acho que a trocação dele pro MMA, ela caiu.
There it is. We talked about this like 2 days ago. Like, yeah, we need something new, especially after you lap the division again.
Now, given all that said, Alex Pereira is a man to beat Israel Adesanya not once, but twice. Ask anyone or any team who's competed at a high level. If you have similar skills to your opponent, it's very tough to beat them more than twice, 3 times, 4 times. Does he have the answer the rest of the middleweight division has been seeking?
I absolutely positively guarantee you that the next fight that Israel Adesanya fights will be absolutely bad nuts.
Now let's take a deeper dive into the up-and-coming middleweight challenger, Alex Pereira.
Middleweight champion of the world, Alex Poatan Pereira! Here we go. Scheduled for 5 rounds for the middleweight championship.
Let me know if it's a problem then.
It has been a dominating round for Pereira. His nose is already bleeding. Left hook right at the bell, and that is it. Hands of stone. Alex Poatan Pereira. That left hook. That's his dangerous strike.
Another savage fighter from the favelas. Alex Pereira grew up in a favela in Sao Paulo, Brazil. At age 12, Pereira dropped out of school and began working at a tire shop. As most people know, the favelas of Brazil can be a tough life, and it was no different for Alex. Pereira started drinking simply because those around him were. Now keep in mind he's only 12 when he drops out of school, so that already limits his career opportunities significantly. Pereira started training kickboxing. as a way to help cope with the alcohol. After a few months of training, he realized he was a natural. And better than most of the people he was training with who had been training for years. He started having aspirations of a combat career. After a few boxing matches, Pereira decided to stick with kickboxing. In 2013, he won the Pan American Championships in kickboxing. Alex's dream was manifesting. As a kickboxer, Pereira was absolutely vicious. Compiled a 33-7 record, he had some notable wins over Dustin Jacoby, Simon Marcus, and Jason Wilness, another man to beat Adesanya in kickboxing.
Dustin Wilness wide open.
Pereira went on to win the Glory Middleweight and Light Heavyweight titles. The man is an absolute beast. He has 2 wins over Adesanya, no, not in MMA, but in kickboxing. And Adesanya hasn't really been touched since the Kelvin Gastelum fight. I think we have a war brewing here. Adesanya had a similar route to MMA as Pereira. The kickboxing route. Compiled a 75-4 record in kickboxing. Absolutely unreal. And even fought in China just like Pereira did for a few years. These guys just feel destined to fight several more times. Let's take a look at Adesanya's journey since he's become champion. Adesanya became champion of the middleweight division in 2019. Robert Whittaker beat Yoel Romero, obliterated Paulo Costa.
When you clean out all the killers in your division, you got to move up in weight. Beating all the baddest dudes, that's the real challenge, and that's the real goal to me.
Izzy is moving up to 205 and going after the belt.
Jumps up to light heavyweight, challenges Jan Blachowicz. Adesanya drops the fight to Blachowicz, a decision loss. Now keep in mind, Izzy doesn't even really cut that much weight for middleweight.
I'm going back down to 185, and I'm going to roll that with my iron black fist.
Comes storming back to middleweight and wins his past 3, Vettori, Whittaker, and Cannonier.
What a performance by Alex Pereira, knocking out Sean Strickland, only the second man to do so.
He is a great fighter, but I know what true greatness is.
Is one of the biggest fights of my life. It's one of the biggest fights of my life.
You're certainly on the champion's radar right now. Israel was talking about you heading into this fight.
And this TikTok generation has 15-second memory, so they forget. All they see is a knockout.
And these ain't big pillow gloves. These are 4-ounce
Deadly weapons, and I can't wait to drive that through his face.
Oh, it actually makes me confused because, you know, with those 2 fights in the knockout, actually, he claimed to be a pillow, but, you know, now we talk about 4-ounce gloves.
Job. I f***ed this guy up in the first fight. Not crazy, but
the judges gave it to him. Second fight, I had him on skates.
Here's what people are failing to recognize. Adesanya was outpointing Pereira pretty significantly in that second bout until that KO.
And I made a judgment call, an error.
With the big pillows already making him leave on a stretcher with the gas balloon on him, so imagine what is going to happen on the 4 ounces.
I think he's going to have a conversation with Dana White trying to get away from that fight.
In his backyard, down 2 rounds. On the 3rd round, he comes and knocks me out. That's a beautiful story for him.
Pereira's path to a title was a quick one. He had a 2nd round knockout, a decision win, and then they threw him right up to top 5 against Sean Strickland. They have some respect for this man.
They've been asked more about me this whole f***ing fight camp than each other. So you need to focus on the work you're doing, because trust me, he will sleep you if not.
Pereira truly has hands of stone, hence his nickname, Powhatan. Adesanya is the more technical fighter, but Pereira's power is truly the equalizer. So, here we go, fire and ice.
Go back to UFC 92, Vanilla Silver versus Rampage Jackson. That's a clear example of how I see this going the 3rd time. He who laughs last, laughs best. And I'm gonna have the last laugh.
He spent a childhood watching cartoons. I spent my childhood working on a tire shop. I didn't watch no cartoons.
I'm the big dog in this yard. I'm the champ. You want it, come get it.
You can't stand in front of that man.
Did you see that?
That dude's made out of mahogany.
I want to test myself against everyone of this era who's a beast.
He hits people, and it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
He's the same size as these people.
I like it though. I like the tailor-made matchups because it makes a bigger story.
But
and I like it, and I want it.
And this time when I put you on skates, I'm gonna leave you frozen like Elsa.